miss school risk failing to achieve what they're capable of. Okay, it's pretty simple. Figures show that 96% of persistent poor non-attenders fail to achieve 5 or more good grades at GCSE, and approximately 1/3 achieve no GCSEs at all, if under 90%. So you can see just how those differences, those small increments, make a huge impact on academic attainment. And the staff had a meeting the other day. We looked at all of the different attainers, and surprise, surprise, the ones that were in school the most were actually achieving the highest, the expected grades. So that's a good statistic there for everyone to keep in mind. When you miss school, you miss out on the bottom there. Punctuality. We're really hot on this here. First bell. So the gates are locked at the first bell. If you're not in on site by the first bell, then you are late. Okay. So as a rule of thumb, I think we've been advising most schools, try and aim to get to school for around 8:20, and then that way, if you are 5 minutes late, you're in school before 8:30. By 8:30, everyone should be in those gates, and we should be lined up ready to go. So aim for 8:20, and then if you are a little bit late, gents, I know for year 10 it's been difficult because of COVID, and sometimes you get on a bus and you guys have all seen it, at the bus it says bus full. So I know it has been difficult in the last few years. I think it has died down a little bit now in terms of the busyness. So if we can just try and make sure we're on time. We've had a few issues of being late this week. So if we try and be on time, that would be fantastic. So the second bell, you should be in your form. If you're not in form, like us, the second bell, then you are late. Uniform. Again, being year 10, a lot of you should know about this by now. There shouldn't be too many uniform issues. If you do, the main thing is if you do have an issue with any uniform at all, you have to bring in a note. They have to bring in a note from home. So just making parents and carers aware of that. If there is any issues, the son won't get any trouble at all if you have a signed note. And that would be great. So next one, coat should not be worn inside the building. We're quite clear about this. We've got an expectation for the boys to wear black coats or black jackets or black raincoats, ideally raincoats, so they're waterproof when it is raining, and should only be black. And do not carry a hoodie in your bag to school. If we do catch any students without, let's say it's a grey hoodie or a grey coat, we are going to ask them to take it off. It needs to be that, but you guys, you're year 10 now, you know about that. Again, the next one, no trainers or boots. Most of you will have kickers or some similar equivalent. Students, in terms of their appearance, should not have slits in their eyebrows. If they have any sort of fancy hairstyle going on, any shavings in the head. If you do have slits in the eyebrows, unfortunately, you might have to send them to reception to get it filled in, so just a warning there. No face coverings or masks at the moment from the latest guidance in school. Top button done up and top and tie done properly, and we've reminded you about that in the lineup. PE kits on PE days are essential. That's really important. Being a PE teacher myself, Mr. Henderson would agree, have to have your PE kit all the time. There's actually, sometimes we get a bit frustrated because students forget. And I'd say for you guys in year 10, it's your responsibility now. So don't always rely on mum or dad to sort you out with the washing. Okay, it's your responsibility to make sure your kit's there ready for the next morning. You must be wearing, right, next one, equipment. Yeah, I'll just let you read through a few of those. Okay, the top two, pretty simple. Pencil case, ruler, blue, black, and green pen. We use the green pen for self-assessment, and that shows that the pupils are able to correct any mistakes. Calculator is essential for maths and science. Homework diary needs to be updated and record. Students need to record their homework on a regular basis, and the students have filled out each specific lesson where they have homework in their diary. So it might be on a Tuesday they have English homework. They write it every week on a Tuesday. They expect to have English homework, so they write it in their planner. So it just makes it easier for them to know that on that day they're receiving that homework, and they won't have to write anything extra in. Really important, no compasses to be brought into school. These will be provided for your maths, so you don't need to bring compasses in. Obviously, we probably know why that is, with them being quite sharp. Diaries, students must look after their diaries and use them correctly. Diaries are to be kept in blazer pocket. It's nice and easy if you've got a blazer pocket just to keep it inside, and we need to make sure we're keeping those diaries. And if you do lose it, you will have to pay for a new one in reception. So try and keep keep those diaries in good shape so you don't have to get a new one. Disruption to lessons will not be tolerated. Any student conversation in class must be at the discretion of the classroom teacher. Conversations in lesson must be constructive, not destructive. We've got a very, very clear behaviour system at the school now, which being year 10, year 10s will know that. So they know that they'll get that first verbal warning. They know that if they talk again after that, their name's going to be on the board and they get a behaviour point. They know if they disrupt the learning further from that, they'll have a central detention and they get behind for an hour, up to just an hour, 55 minutes to an hour after school the following day. Yeah, so there is that escalation, so the students are aware of that. We expect all students to work to the best of their ability. This means following the classroom rules for behaviour. If you get that behaviour right, and we've chatted to lots of students who might have had minor issues with behaviour over the years, and as soon as they've corrected those issues, you can see their attainment really, really start to escalate, and their achievements are going to be much more. There's much more chance of them achieving in the future once you sort that behaviour out at source. But it is really, really important. And again, that's where that triangulation that I said earlier on, the communication between parents, teachers and students is really, really key. And we can going back to that diary, we can use the diary if there's any issues, anything at all. If let's say, for example, a student has an appointment, they need a signed note because they might have a split attention on that day. So as long as we keep that communication, that would be fantastic. Or a phone call into the school as well. All homework needs to be completed. There are a few boys that have had a few issues with going to school's homework, and we, as teachers, we appreciate and understand that. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to go around the form groups, and any boys that still have any remaining issues with going to schools, we're going to take them to a computer room, and they can go through that, so they're well aware of what they need to be doing, how to log on, and how to access their homework. Students must stand when their head of year or SLT enters the room. For SLT, definitely, sometimes when I go in, I'm going to address you and say, okay, you don't need to stand up, boys, because maybe what you're doing is very, very important at the time, and I don't want to disrupt the learning. So for SLT, head of year, I'll let you know when I walk into that room, and I will judge that. Mobile phones. Really, this is another key slide. Mobile phones are not allowed to be used on site and should remain off and in a student's bag for the entire school day. Once the boys have finished school, they know that they're allowed to go on their phone. Ideally, lads, though, what I'd say is wait till you get out the school gates, because every now and again, and unfortunately, Mr. Crowley had to take a photo of one boy the other day who, just before we went out the school gates, was on his phone. So, you have to be clever with that. Once you get out the gates and you can go on it, if you're on it in school, it's going to be taken off you. We've heard from some other schools there's some really strict sanctions for mobile phones being used in schools, i.e. they're not being returned to them by the end of the term. At this school, okay, so say it here. So at this school, the parents have to collect it that Friday. So at the end of the week, let's say, for example, the phone's confiscated on a Monday, at the end of the week, the parents will have to come in, which is an inconvenience for the parents, and we understand that. But at the same time, the student must understand that they're not allowed on their phones. Again, because we talked about going to schools being great for communication, on the flip side, because there's so much social media and everything these days, boys can get very distracted on their phones too. And we want to make sure that they're focused all the time in school, so they're not being distracted. So this rule is non-negotiable and includes the usage of AirPods or headphones. We've all seen AirPods in and around London, and a lot of the boys sometimes try and get away with having them in. So I'll just remind you guys again, same with mobile phones, just put them on after school. So no homework issues, students placed in the central detention the next day for 1 hour. If the student completes their homework and it's checked by their teacher, they will not have to complete the whole hour. So you can get your homework done during that time. What we're doing now, we're having these meetings between teachers and students that are in central detentions, and that's just to sort of iron out any issues that the teacher might be having and the student might be having, so both teacher and student on the same page. So Solomon, we're not in trouble. It could be Solomon is misbehaved in PE, and I'm his PE teacher. I put him in central. I said, right, Solomon, this time, next time we have a lesson, I don't want you to be turning around and speaking to Kiribel, because that's not what behaviour policy is. That's what you need to be looking forward to focusing. We'll have that meeting together, and hopefully with that meeting between teacher and student, the students will be aware of how they need to act and how they need to behave in the next lesson. 2 no homeworks in a week is a head of year detention with me, and then 3 no homeworks in a week, students placed in head teacher detention on a Friday. And that's it from me. Thank you all for listening. Hope you have a good rest of the evening. Any issues or any questions from us and the year 10 team?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, ladies and gentlemen, there was a lot of rules there, and our boys will definitely tell you that yes, it's a regimen. And there's a reason for that. This is a successful school. You set your child here because you want them to be successful. And we can't fail you, and neither can we fail your child. So those rules are in place to help them with their learning. Organization is key to success. Frame of mind is key to success. So when you see an equipment list and you see all these rules, it's about organization. You see the rules about punctuality and attendance. It is part of that success, and that's what feeds into what they're going to do and produce. Mobile phones. In today's world and society, it is everywhere. We can't live without it. But it is a huge distraction to the learning of children. And that is why this school is a no-phone zone. We need them to unplug off the internet when they're here so that we can teach them, and not Google teaching them, not YouTube teaching them, and everything else teaching them. And that's why the rules are what they are. And if you want your child to be successful, I'm not asking you to have these rules at home, equipment list and things like that, but there needs to be a set of rules at home where there's a routine and there's a discipline as to when it's time to study and when it's time to play. Very soon, the pressure is going to be on them, and that pressure is going to come from me, from their head of year, from their form tutors as to, have you got your revision timetable? Have you started revising? Are you preparing? And those are questions I'll be asking them all the time. And that is because it all leads into the success of what we want them to do and gain from this. We teach them a curriculum here. It's very important that our curriculum is ambitious. It wants to promote them to think outside the box, but also for them to develop and want to have that thirst for hunger and the thirst for knowledge, so that they think about not just what they're learning in school, but what their learning can do for them outside of school. We teach them to develop independent learning skills. We hold their hand to a certain point, but at a certain point we need them to let them go so that they can then start developing themselves. Because once they hit college, sixth form, once they hit university, there's no teachers holding their hands. They basically have to be self-disciplined learners. So it is important we teach them that along the journey that we're doing. We provide a broad and balanced curriculum. I'll explain that to you just now, where it's academic as well as creative. So it gives a child who's got a more creative side to him the chance to develop as well. We support their spiritual, moral, social, and cultural development. So we try as much as possible to get them out into the city centers, into culture, so that they can see what's happening around them. In terms of their spiritual and moral and social upkeep and bringing up here, we are constantly on that. Like I said, they have assemblies in terms of personal development, they have assemblies in terms of the Catholic religion and how that feeds into morals and values. So you don't have to be a Catholic to understand and develop in that way. We promote a positive attitude towards learning, and that is key. And having the right uniform, not having slits in your eyes, making sure you have a belt and your trousers is worn the correct way. That's about attitude to learning. Because if you've got your mind set the right way, then the rest of it comes naturally. And that is really important. And that is why that attitude to learning, when a child comes through the gate, it needs to be a positive attitude. It must not be because I am forced to be here. It must be because I want to be here. And we are proud to say that 99% of our students want to be here. They're happy to be here. They come to school early. They're here out. We have a fantastic record of attendance in the borough, and our students do enjoy being at St. Aloysius. Ensure equal access to learning with high expectations. If we know that your child is a bit of a high ability student, then we will push him, and we'll push him really hard to actually exceed his targets. And all teachers, all adults in the school will have high expectations of every child, not just a high ability child, but of every child. And constantly we monitor and push them towards achieving their targets. We teach them to develop key knowledge and skills, and I said this right at the beginning. Why do we do that? So that they can be successful, not just at school, but when they go on to their journey. And we are proud in this school. We have a very long history of students that have left us. They've gone off, and they have become people today that are really proud to say that they have come from Aloysius. Not very long ago, we've got one of our students who made it very big in the film industry in America. And we're proud of that. But that has come because of the hard work. And he came back there to say, my teachers helped me get there. And a lot of our students do that. And one day, we're hoping your son will do the same. Provide access to higher education. One of the things that we do in year 11 when they come to collect their exam results is they don't leave the door there until we know where are you going next. Because we encourage every child to access higher education. Because we know that that higher education gives them a better chance of being successful. Includes the development of transferable skills. We teach them English, maths, science. They're learning skills that they can then use elsewhere in life. So the subjects they learn is not just about the academics, but it's teaching them the skills that they will transfer and use. So when we teach our curriculum, it's academic and it's creative. We have core subjects, and the core subjects are subjects that we have got to teach, and you are very familiar with these. Our core subjects are, as you saw, maths, English, science. Because we are a Catholic school, RE falls into that. And then physical education, which is general PE. The government has made it statutory for every child to get 2 periods of physical fitness lessons a week. And that is so that they can understand their bodies and why fitness is so important for their health. The core subjects are taught to them on a daily basis. It is very important. English, 5 lessons a week is spent out of 30 lessons. Maths, we do over 5 lessons a week. Science is taught over 6 lessons a week. The reason for that is because in science, they do all 3 disciplines of science. They do physics, chemistry, and biology. So every child does a bit of all 3 disciplines. RE, like I said, because we are a Catholic school, we do RE, and we teach that over 3 lessons a week. And then physical fitness PE is done over 2 lessons a week. Now, I'm just going to give the pod of English and Maths a chance to just address it directly and tell you about what your son needs to do to be successful in those 2 subjects. Now, you see that I've titled it double-weighted subjects. English is double-weighted when they get their results at the end because they do English language and English literature. Maths, only maths, but they get it equivalent to 2 GCSEs. Science is equivalent to 2 GCSEs because they do combined science. However, some students who do triple science will get 3 GCSEs out of it. So these subjects on its own could be worth up to 6 GCSEs, just these 3 subjects on its own. So I'm going to first introduce you to Ms. Jolie, the head of English, who will just quickly tell you a little bit about English. Jolie?
Good evening, everyone. I must say it's quite wonderful to see you all back in flesh after a very, very long time. We didn't have this kind of access to you. It is so important that the lines of communication are open between us because these boys are going to face into some of the toughest exams considering the amount of time, class time, teacher time that they've missed due to COVID. So we have a lot of work to do. Miss Kiston mentioned that the pressure will be on very, very soon. I know that both English and Maths have already started to apply serious pressure to the boys in terms of focus on exams. I'm going to speak from an English point of view. So for English, there are 2 GCSEs. We have English Language GCSE and English Literature GCSE. And while they are separate GCSEs, loads of the skills are transferable. We've been talking about transferable skills throughout the evening. English is at the absolute core across the entire curriculum of the school. So all of the subjects that your boys study, English will help them access and achieve and excel in all of those. So it's so important that they're doing well in English. So I'm going to speak briefly about each one in isolation. So for GCSE English Language, ways that you can support the boys. That's what's most important. Language, they have 2 exams. One is on fiction and one is on non-fiction. It is so important that the boys are exposed to as much fiction and non-fiction as you can encourage them to do so. The Guardian app, please make sure that you've downloaded it on your phone and your sons and children have downloaded it on their phones. It is free and it is the best quality non-fiction resource that they can have. They can read the sports section. It's still high quality journalism. That's absolutely fine. They can read the entertainment section. It's the quality of what they're reading and what they're exposed to is what is going to help them for the exam. Because there will be an article on their exam for English language. We have booklets for the non-fiction section. They just need to get those from their English teachers. Okay? For literature, the best revision is reading, and rereading the set texts. That is on paper 1, Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. It is so important that the boys know that text inside out. They need to know the characters, the themes, the events, the chronology. It is essential. They also sit Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That is their 19th century text, and they're both on the same papers. The boys will sit 2 questions, one on Romeo and Juliet, one on Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So again, it's so important that they read and reread that text. They have copies of that text. They annotate it with their English teachers, and it's theirs to take home and study from at home. That is the best form of revision. They will this year study a play by Dennis Kelly, the local boy, Barnett. He wrote that play, and his play will be studied with them this year. They will get a copy of that, and reading and rereading it is essential. The other 2 parts of that second exam is poetry and anthology. The boys already started, and the unseen component. And it's so important that they revisit those texts again and again and again. Exam papers are crucial. Practice makes perfect, and that is what we are currently doing in English lessons right now, because we sit English language for their AP. So we're doing question, we're modeling an answer, they practice. There's no excuses because they've got model answers in their exercise books. They can take any exam off the A2A website for language paper 1, they can download it, they're there, they're free, and they can practice because they've got the model answers in their exercise books. There's no excuses. So, exam papers, super important. Mark schemes. Know your mark schemes, know how to move up through the levels. We're explaining that explicitly to the boys in lessons at the moment. They have them stuck in their exercise books. They have the assessment objectives in their exercise books. Please ask them about it. Ask them to show you their exercise books. All the information is in there. Practice, 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 and know the mark schemes. So important. Google Classroom. That is the best thing that came out of COVID. We can upload all of the information that we cover in lessons, revision guides, extra exam papers, mark schemes, the assessment objectives. They will all slowly trickle onto Google Classroom. Now the lists have just been populated, so in the next week or so, that information is going to be going on to Google Classroom. The boys have access to that. Ask to see it. They have that for all subjects. Okay? They have Google Classroom for all subjects. Educate. The bane of some of our students' lives in terms of getting homework central detentions, but it's really important for that revisiting of learning. So we have this recall where we keep going back over. So it's not just enough that they reread Romeo and Juliet, we need to test them on it. And at the moment, they tend to be tested on Romeo and Juliet because they studied it last year. So we want to keep it fresh in their minds, keep it over, ticking over all the time. That's currently on at the moment, and they do get detentions if they don't complete that. It's online. Again, you can check to see it. We also include a link where they've got a guide, a link to a revision guide, just in case they want to look up some bits and pieces before they start the test. Apart from that, it's all about you supporting them in their revision, helping them create those revision timetables, having conversations with them about what they're revising, why they're revising, and crucially, encouraging them to revise those topics that they don't want to do, because they're the ones that need the most revision. If you have any questions at the end, I'll be around and you can come and ask me. Thank you for your attention, and I'll hand over to Ms. Albright.
I am the instructor, maths, but most importantly, I am a maths teacher. So, the difference between an English teacher and a maths teacher. 3 things I want you to say from me today. 3 things. Please make sure your sons are in front of us. Number 2, they work with us. Number 3, they need to do the maths. So, in order to be successful in maths, they need to be in front of us, they need to work with us, and they need to do maths. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Albright. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thought it was very important. You hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Believe me, Ms. Albright had a way. She'd stand here all day and talk about maths. And she let the children do only maths and no other subject. So we'll be going to keep a close eye on her. I mentioned about science. Ms. Klaus not with us today, but science could be 2 GCSEs, 3 GCSEs. The boys do 6 papers, either one of those courses. 6 papers, 2 biology, 2 physics, and 2 chemistry. And that's how they grade their computer. English, write 4 papers in total, 2 language, 2 literature, and each paper is 1 hour 45 minutes. Maths, 3 exam papers, paper 1, 2, and 3, calculator and non-calculator, 1.5 hours long. The science exam papers, 1 hour 45 minutes, each of those 6 papers, 1 hour 15 minutes if it's combined science. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you that just from those 3 subjects alone, that's enough pressure. There's going to be enough pressure coming on. The exam boards have made the exams harder. They've made the exams longer, and we have to teach more content than we've ever taught before. And this, I'm not telling you to scare you. I'm telling you that if we leave this for year 11, you're going to get results that are not the strongest set of results. In addition to those subjects, we nurture your son's creative subjects as well. And these subjects, they started in year 9, the GCSE subjects. We've got the humanities, history and geography, modern foreign languages, we do French or Spanish, and then we do business studies, we do sociology, computer science, and then we've got design technology, graphics, art, and then in PE, the boys get to either do GCSE PE or BTech PE. Some boys are more suited to the vocational way of learning, so that course suits them a lot better. These, if your son does any of these GCSEs and they've done it for a year already, they will cover those subjects over 3 lessons a week. So this is giving you the idea of the subjects they do and how much of their time on their timetable is spent studying those subjects. We set academic targets for them every year. Next week, your sons are going to bring home a report, and you will get an alert from both the schools to say that this report is available. Target report is available. You will get your son's target for the end of this academic year and for this first assessment point. I will also be working towards giving you an idea. This end of year target will give you an indication the trajectory is on for that final GCSE in year 11. So it won't be very hard for you to work out. Those targets have been computed from your son's Key Stage 2 data that he's come to us with. And we have a progress pathway that we have shared with you via your son's planner. It's right at the back. Please feel free to look at it. So those targets have been set. They are ambitious. We want your child to be challenged so that he can work harder. And those targets are there so that he knows what we want him to head towards. Now, when you get that report, please don't fold it and put it in a drawer somewhere and forget about it. Take it and stick it somewhere in the house where every time you walk past it, it reminds you. Every time he walks past it, it reminds you. Because that constant reminder is going to tell him, I mustn't forget, I've got to work towards this. And if they're working towards that, I guarantee you, your child will leave the school with excellent GCSEs. And you've got to just keep that at the forefront. Now, one of the things we've started in this school in preparation for our students is distributed learning. So we've been doing a lot of work and training with our staff about developing long-term memory. And I'm going to put it very simply like this. And I always use, I don't know how many of you listen to Capital Radio, but Capital Radio will play one song at 7 in the morning, at 9 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, and for all day, you'll probably listen to that song about 6 times. And after a week, I guarantee you, you'll know every word of that song. Why? Because you've heard it, you've listened to it, and then suddenly you are singing to it. That is developing long-term. As Ms. Dolly said, they've got to read the text. They've got to read it over and over again. Why? The more times you go over it, the more it sticks into long-term memory. So parents, we have been training the boys with this already. They get retrieval homework. Retrieval homework is where we are making them go back and revise the work from year 9. And this is because we want that memory to be developed so that when it comes to the exam, it's like remembering the song. You're just pulling it out very easily. And so it is very important that they're engaging with that retrieval homework and they are focusing, they are revising it. Now, when we set the retrieval homework, teachers set it in a way where they must relearn the work, either by reading through their books or watching a little video, whatever method it is, but teachers will tell them to relearn. Then they'll give them a chance to practice an exam question or two before they self-assess. So we relearn, we practice, and then we self-assess. Do I understand it? Don't I understand it? Should I now go to my teacher and ask for help because I'm not getting it? So it is very important that that distributed learning is taking place, should have been taking place. Because during the holidays, we will be setting them this work to do. We can't go back and teach the year 9 work again. We expect them, we taught it, we expect them to be revising. So please support us and make sure that revision is happening at home with a schedule. And it's never too late to start. This should have started already. So that's something really important. Make it fast and quick. No hours. Take 2 subjects a night, 45 minutes to an hour on it. And then once the time is done, close the book. That's it, you're done with it. But next week, let's do it again. So it's about revisiting the learning all the time. That's going to be really important and helpful. We use a lot of online apps in school, and this gives you an idea. But I'm not going to go over each one, but Miss Jolie, Miss Top Rank, every department in the school uses past exam papers. The past exam papers come from the exam book. They are free for teachers, for students, for parents. Anybody can download and print them. And then give it to your sons to start practicing. Because no matter what you can say, how we've developed in technology and how forward-thinking the world has become, you cannot go away from the fact that practice makes perfect. Olympic medalists won their medals because they were dedicated to their training and commitment. And it was a constant work that made them to be successful. So practice does make perfect. And our children can do that by looking at the exam papers, look at how questions are asked, and then looking at the mark scheme to see how the exam board wants them to answer the question. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them using that material. Please encourage them to do that. Please, you help them by downloading that information, printing it off, and let them practice. At school, we give them a lot of that to do as well. Now, this is absolutely, keep running away from me. This is absolutely crucial for you. In year 10, they are going to write 3 assessments. The first assessment is in the week of the 15th of November. We are now in September. And I'm telling every person sitting in this room that your son needs to be prepared to write this GCSE assessment that is going to be made up of all the work taught in year 9 and all the work taught up to the 15th of November. He needs to be revising that. He needs to start working on exam papers. And that's when he does his AP1 assessment in year 10. So 15th of November, for 1 week, he will sit down, write 3 papers a day, and that is us putting them through the routine of what GCSE pressure is going to be like. You're going to get upset with me because by June, you're going to ask me, how can we give them 2 weeks of exams? It's hot, 3 exams a day. When it comes to the proper exam in year 11, they write for 2 months. 2 months every day, 2 exam papers. It's going to be really stressful. In March, we're going to do a progress check. This is an informal assessment. The assessment is done in class, it's done by teachers, they don't sit an exam. And what it tells us is, where is your child working at now? So we are constantly tracking, how did he come at the end of year 9? Where's he now at AP1? Where's he in March? And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, I've got mock 1 here. This is his GCSE first mock exam. By the 6th of June, he would have done GCSEs all of year 9 and all of year 10. That's 2 years worth of work. That's 2/3 of his GCSE curriculum done. We will then sit them for their first proper GCSE mock exam. These results are very important to us. It tells us how they're doing, how they're coping, and it also will tell us what is it we need to do more of in preparation for the final exam. Also very important is when it comes to year 11, January, and they're looking for their colleges, this helps us inform their predicted grades. So please don't sit and wait. Their revision has to be ongoing because those predicted grades will be important for their Class 6 home application. We often have parents unhappy while we're using those grades. Those grades are important. They need to matter. And if we tell the children they matter, they will make sure they do it well. So we are telling you now what it is going to be for and how they need to approach it. Now, the other very important thing is every single one of you walk through doors with a curriculum booklet. In this booklet, it has all the information that tells you what your child will be studying this year. Every subject is in the booklet, and it outlines in each term what topics are being done. So it gives you the chance to look at what is your child currently learning, what will your child learn as he goes through the year. It helps you to support his learning. He can do forward reading, he can do research. You need to encourage those things. It tells you what what specification he is studying. And I just said to you to download exam papers, so you must know what exam board it is because it varies between exam boards. When are his assessments? The slide I just went over is done in that booklet for you. How can I monitor his schoolwork on a daily basis? How do I know what is happening? My child is home at 7, he comes back at 5. I'm not seeing him the whole day. How do I know what has happened? Ms. Jolie has mentioned Go for Schools. This is a platform that we are using at school. It is for parents, it is for students, and it is for us as teachers. How are we using it? You can see your son's timetable on that. It's discrete only to you and your child. You can monitor his attendance to school. It will have that information there. You can look at his reports. I mentioned his target report, his AP reports. Every time he does an assessment formally, you will get a report. It comes to you via Go for Schools. Behavior information. Is he getting reward points or is he getting negative points, positive or negative? You can check that on a daily basis. And then you have a conversation with your child. What's going on here? Why is this going wrong? Or you've done really well there. Keep this up. This needs to be going. It's not always the bad things. It's about the positive things as well. Let's encourage them and let's celebrate their success. And last, most importantly, homework. We are setting homework on Go for Schools. Teachers are setting the work. If you have that app on the phone, you will know what homework your son has been given for the day before he even comes home. That's how it works. So you know he needs to spend the next 2 hours getting that work completed. Now parents, I must say, homework and revision are two separate things. Homework is the work we give them to ensure the learning from the classroom is continuing. But revision is preparing for the exam. That is ongoing all the time. No year 10 child should come home and say, I got no homework today, so I'm playing PlayStation. That's not happening. Parents, my child just finished year 11. He never had a PlayStation all his life. I made a promise to him when he finishes year 11, he'll get one. He still hasn't got one. But that is a distraction. You need to have a routine. Put those games away at the time when they need to study. I've given you the dates. You know the dates. 3 weeks before that, put it away and let them focus on their education. You can't come back and get this time for your education, so you've got to make sure they do it right now. So, Go for Schools. In the booklet, right at the back, there are pages with step-by-step instruction on how you can access Go for Schools if you still haven't done it. It also tells you about the different information you have access to. If you have any issues with that, please let us know and we will help you. But it's absolutely imperative you have access to Go for Schools so that you can support your child, you can have those conversations, you can look at his targets, look at his progress, and constantly be guiding him and pushing him in the right direction. So it was really important tonight that we shared this with you because this is a very, very crucial year for our boys. And we want them to be on the strongest footing possible when they write that first mock exam before they start in year 11. Because by then, it's not I'm starting GCSEs, I'm almost there. And that's what very important. So I am done. If you have any questions, you can contact me directly, contact the school. However, our form tutors and Mr. Taylor will be here to answer any questions you can have. But before I sign off, there's a list out there. There's Ms. Kinsel out there. She's in charge of our higher prior attaining students. These students know who they are. She's got a special program for you. So if your name's on that list, can I ask for parents and children on that list to please follow Ms. Kinsel and the teachers out there to your program. If you have any questions, please feel free to approach your form tutors who you've been introduced to. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long evening, but like I said, thank you very much for coming. I hope you found that useful, and any questions, do let us know. Thank you very much. He's about to get